Hi everyone, I'm Sunny. Great to have you back for another episode of the GoangXing podcast. Sitting beside me, as always, is Chichi from the third generation of GoangXing Paper Mill. Chichi, can you say hi to our listeners?
Hi everyone, I'm Chichi. I'm really back to be back here too.
Okay, I'm really great to be back here too. So, I would like to say about this episode, we're going to explore GoangXing's unique paper, from premium grade paper for art and restoration, and to talk about the product perspective of these handmade paper from GoangXing, bring different stories to our listeners. So, before we dive into today's episode, I would like to take a step back and look how GoangXing evolved over time. In the last episode, we know that GoangXing started to open its door to the public to promote craftsmanship and share the beauty of handmade papermaking. So, Chichi, could you give us a little recap and tell us more about how the second generation, your parents and your family, helped improve the quality of the handmade paper, and maybe how they expanded from basic practice paper to high-end customized paper for artists and museums?
So thank you, Sunny, for asking such important question about Guangxin's paper. And I would like to say that the high-end paper development in our paper mill rooted in my papa's deep respect to the craft of handmade paper. And to further answer this question, I would like to also trace back to the history of handmade paper development in Taiwan. So, as mentioned in last episode, the papermaking technique in Taiwan was introduced by Japanese when Taiwan was under rule of Japan. And after that, the industry boomed, and there were over 50 paper mills in our town, Puli. However, in the 1980 to 1990, machine-made paper started to replace the market, and a lot of paper mills relocated to countries with cheaper labor or either closed down. And our paper mill was struggling as well, and there were no order coming in. And this was also when the tourist factory idea was implemented in our paper mill. So as mentioned in last episode, this is when we opened the door to the public and also have tour and paper making program for the public to experience the beauty of handmade paper. And this tourist development saved the paper mill from closing. However, there is still no order for the paper itself. And my papa really didn't want to see paper making become just for performance. So he started to writing letter to different artists and sending paper sample to them. And slowly many artists started to write him back and share their experience and desire for paper. And through this, my papa started to change the entire paper making technique from the based on the artist's feedback. And this was also when he was introduced to the most traditional paper from kozo and gangpi tree bark. And during this time, none of the paper mill in Taiwan was making the tree bark paper. And however, this tree bark paper has more delicate ink spread, texture, and much longer durability. And therefore, artists are even willing to travel to Japan and pay premium, like a really premium price for this kind of paper.
I've heard that before.
Yeah, and one day, one of the artists shared a sample of this kind of trip art paper with my papa, and he was really amazed by how different the paper is from the paper he has been making during the past year. And this was also when he set his mind to focus on making this kind of tree bark base paper. And this is the beginning of the development of hand paper in our paper mill.
Wow, this is a really long story that I have heard before from the start. I remember last episode we have talked about the police water is really clean, so your family started to do this business. And I'm feel really insightful because I think it's really amazing how your family, your papa, saw that potential and trying to push through those challenges and trying to make every employee's kind of different work to do and not just put there in those challenges. So I'm really curious about from a product perspective, how does GoangXing's handmade paper actually compared to machine-made paper? Because I imagine many of our listeners might not have seen handmade paper up close before, or any detail about paper production. So Chichi, next question is, could you share about the key difference and the paper production for us?
So now in our paper mill, we mainly focus on making paper from tree bark. And this tree bark paper has a really delicate ink spread and much longer durability. And we mainly use kozo tree and gampi trees as mentioned. And however, this kind of tree bark is really difficult to process.
Okay.
And also the paper making technique is also really different from machine made paper, because for machine made paper, they mainly use palm tree as the main material for their paper pulp. But for kozo paper and gampi paper, they hold so much longer time to boil, steam, and also to decompose. And not to mention that around 30 years ago, like when my papa started to set his mind to make this tree bar paper, most paper mill in Taiwan only use materials like the paper pulp that is already processed in other factory. So at that time, paper mill imported, they just import the paper pulp and mix with water and form a sugar paper. But for the tree bark paper, we have to start from the beginning, from the tree bark. So at that time, my papa decided to making this kind of paper. He did a lot of research and also countless experiments to find the right way to process the bark. And and start from small batch, like he only produce a small, like 100 sheets, 200 sheets per time.
A little amount of it.
Yeah. And then send them to artists and also adjust the process over and over again based on their feedbacks.
Like you said before in the last part.
Yeah. And so now in GoangXing Paper Mill, to make one sheet of paper, we have to steam and boil the tree bark as mentioned, and this take almost 1 day, sometimes even longer than 1 day. And then we have to wash the tree bark in clean water for 1 night. And later we have our artisans slowly examine the tree bark to pick out the dark spot, rougher fibers, and also resins hidden in the bark.
I remember this part that I visited in Puli.
Yeah.
It's cool. And
Yeah.
Chichi showed us about the black spot of it.
Yeah. And it takes a really long time. And of course, we can use more efficient way. Let's use like a strong bleach, chemical bleach, to just whiten the fiber. But we also realize this will harm the fibers and also has a negative impact on the durability of the paper. So now we still use the most traditional way, that's by human, like
Yes.
slowly picking out.
There's 3 women just picking it out.
Yeah,
It's cool.
slowly. And then after the tree bar is clean, we make sure the tree bar is clean, then is put in the beating machine to decompose into paper pulp. And then we have our artisan to form paper sheet by sheet. And the paper is moved to the pressing machine to slowly press out the water and dry by another artisan sheet by sheet as well. So this process, this paper making process, takes at least 1 week to half year to 6 months to process one sheet of paper. So yeah, as mentioned, like in our paper mill, we try to eliminate much chemical process in the paper making, as we found that it will harm the fiber and shorten the paper's durability. And so this is why our artisans need to spend a lot of time to take care of the tree bar and make sure the quality is good. But we feel this is our responsibility to the paper user, and we would like to make sure our paper is durable because it's going to carry their creations, and we want the paper is able to carry their creations for many years.
Yes. And I remember Chichi just talking about the paper production just in words, but if you once visited to Nantou Puli and watch the paper production, you will like figure out, oh, what is this all about? And each ingredients, materials trying to put together and make each other, it's really cool and it's really insightful, and you'll be remember about every single process of the paper production. So that makes really a lot of sense. I can imagine how those differences really matter, not to hurt the fiber about the paper, especially trying to make different challenges. So that makes a lot of sense. I can imagine how those differences really matter, like trying to save and not hurt the fiber of the paper, especially for trying to make artists or restoration work. So could you share some few examples of special kinds of paper that GoangXing makes? Maybe some that really show the uniqueness and the high quality of GoangXing's craft.
Yeah, so for our paper, as mentioned, we try to not to use too much chemicals in the paper making. However, sometimes artists will be like, "Oh, I want my paper to be a little bit pink, a little bit yellow, and not just white paper."
Yes.
And so we don't want to use chemical dyeing. And so my papa, my genius papa,
Yes.
he tried to find like a local base and also natural base material. So tea, the black tea.
Oh.
Yeah, because our nearby township, Yuqi, is
I
really
know.
famous for the black tea in
Yes.
Taiwan. So he was like, okay, maybe we try to use black tea to dye the paper. And so this is why we have like the Sanfu Rong is also one kind of paper in our paper mill that use black tea to dye the paper. And also my papa was riding his scooter in our town, and he found that there is yellow soil and also red soil
Okay.
in Puli. And the color is beautiful, it's bright, it's really, really yellow and really, really red.
Beautiful
And
color.
yeah. And he was like, okay, maybe we try to use this soil to dye the paper.
Okay.
And that's why we have mineral dye paper in our paper mill. So when you visit the paper mill, you can see our paper. We don't have like a really, really strong color.
Yes.
Yeah, but our paper has a really beautiful natural base colors on it.
Quite a little bit mild color about that.
Yeah.
I'm curious about what is the black tea that dye into like brown, mild brown. Oh, it's pink.
Pink
Oh,
is
sorry.
a really, really light pink.
Oh,
Yeah,
and the red and the yellow is from the soil.
yeah.
Okay.
It's not like a bright red. It's a little bit mild, really, really gentle pink.
Okay.
And also really, a little bit like the beige color.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. And also, because in Taiwan, we want to make sure our paper is more localized, even so it was a technique introduced by Japanese.
Yes.
But because we have in Japan and Taiwan is still different, like the landscape, the environment. And so my papa tried to collect some local based materials, local based plants, and to combine that into the paper making. And this is our secret. We couldn't really tell you what kind of plant we add to the paper making. But I remember when I was a kid,
Yes.
we both ride the scooter in our township and to talk to farmer, try to collect their local plant and combine that in the paper making. And also during this time, he was also communicating with artists. And sometimes artists will say, I don't want the paper to be so plain. I want to see some texture, some ribbons of the paper. And the ribbon is actually from the bamboo screen.
Oh.
The paper making tool.
Different material.
Yeah. Paper making tool we use to make paper.
Yeah.
And so now when you visit the paper mill, we have thin ribbon, straight ribbon, and also horizontal ribbons on the paper. And this is actually from the different making method of the bamboo screen we use to make paper. And this adds all kind of variations to our paper. And a lot of them are based on the artist
Yes.
requires.
So I saw that your father trying to make meet each customer's need for the paper. It is really hardworking, and I think it's really generous for your father trying to make this business and the paper do.
Yeah.
And I would like to give the feedback to echo the topic that Chichi just said before. I actually had the chance to visit GoangXing's paper mill and the shop in the Puli. So in person with my classmate, and I have a really strong impression on me. Seeing that there's a shop and there was a wall full of shelves and each shelf filled with different type of handmade paper. I remember just standing there and watching in the shop. I really feel amazed by the variety and the detail. So this is, and I now know the story about that. This is why there are so many categories about the paper. So it really showed me how much thought and effort Chichi and your papa trying to put into every type of paper. It's not just about producing one or two products, and it's just about exploring the possibilities of what paper made can be. So I believe over the years, GoangXing has had the chance to work with a lot of amazing creators and artists, just like Chichi said. So are there any artists or collaboration who really stood out to you and the paper mill? Maybe someone whose story or connection GoangXing left a strong impression. I love to hear any kind of story.
So yeah, during this year, we had a lot of collaborations with many renowned artists in Taiwan. So one most important person in our paper refining process, I would say, is Li Yihong. He is the most renowned artist, ink painting artist, and also calligrapher in Taiwan. So around 25 years ago, he was famous already, but he was not that respected nowadays. But at that time, he was the first one reply to my papa's letter. So you can imagine, like 30, 25 years ago, we didn't have email. Yeah, we have email, but my papa didn't use the email.
Yes.
And we didn't have WhatsApp or WeChat or Line as we use in Taiwan now. So they still writing letter, and Mr. Lee still write the letters to calligraphy.
Oh.
So that was amazing letter, and he share a lot of his understanding, his knowledge about handmade paper. And he was also the key person leading my papa to the tree bark base paper making. And later on, his great student, who is also a professor in art university now, and he is Wu Jitao 老师. And both of them has a deep connection with GoangXing Paper Mill. And also they are spreading their experience, knowledge about paper using with their student. So now I will say in Taiwan, a lot of artists, especially the young generation artists, they have much more deeper understanding about paper. And the GoangXing Paper Mill has a deep connection with them too, because we have a variety of paper. And I will say the paper maker and the paper user has a really interesting connection and also like an ongoing interaction, because sometimes the artists have their specific need and they will come to us, tell us their need, and we try to fulfill their desire. But sometimes it's that we have some experimental paper that we made sometimes out of accident, but sometimes it's really beautiful. And we will provide this paper to the artist.
Yes.
And they adjust their thing of the painting, their style, their skill to showcase the feature of this paper. So this is like a really interesting interactions. Like sometimes like a back and forth, continue back and forth relationship. And we really, really appreciate this because we learn a lot from the artists, and artists can also get what they want, what they really need for paper making. So yeah, so both the Yihong 老师 and Wu Jitao 老师, they try to use many kind of paper, and they say they help them to be creative because when they have different paper, different ink spread, and different feature, they can like inspire them to create something different.
Wow.
Yeah, but also sometimes we love to did a lot of experiment in order to fulfill one artist's need. For example, there is one artist from Hong Kong,
Yes.
and we spent 3 years.
Wow.
Yeah, and we make different many batch of paper just to fulfill his need. So this is more like we make paper and send it to him. He said no, this is not what he wants, and we adjust again, and this like back and forth for many times during those 3 years until the last time we sent the paper. He said, "Yeah, finally, this is what he really wants." And also, we make paper for Tibetan Lama.
Oh.
Yeah, the monk. Should we call them monk? Yeah, but the monk is easier to understand in Tibet. We make paper for them, and the paper is extremely thick, extremely rough, and so the paper can like go through those extreme weather in Tibet, and they use those kind of paper to write religious script. So yeah, all of these are really meaningful project for our paper mill. And also we once produced paper for 星云大师. 星云大师 is a really renowned monk.
Yes.
He's like the leader of a big temple in Taiwan.
Being respected.
Yeah, and he is a calligrapher too. But he was blind during the end of his life, but he still want to practice calligraphy.
Yes.
But he couldn't see what he was writing, so he will write all the sentence once.
Trying to first time, actually.
Yeah, and he's a 70, 80 years old elder, but his brush was like he still can hold his brush strongly. Like she put a lot of strength when he was writing the calligraphy. And so he used other kind of paper from the paper mill. The paper will break easily.
Yes.
And so one day he find us and share this painful spot for him. And we produce one paper for him. And that paper is not easy to break and can endure his powerful writing.
The fiber must be really strong in this paper to meet their needs.
Yeah, and we are really happy because this kind of paper later become really popular paper in our paper mill. And also we feel happy that we fulfill his like sometimes I think it's a really sad thing that you are blind but you still want to write, but you couldn't find the right material, and really happy that we can solve this question, this problem for him. But yeah, but at the same time, we also had some connection with art conservation based organization, for example, the National Archive Administrations, and also Academia Sinica, and also the National Palace Museum in Taiwan. And they have a really strict requirement for the paper they're going to use for art conservations. And so, yeah, we also talk to them and try to fulfill their needs and make sure our paper is durable and wouldn't cause any harm to the archive that has been passed now during like 1,000 or 100 years ago. So yeah, I would say the paper mill is a really open place that we are really happy to solve
every challenge.
To solve and also fulfill artists' needs. I think this is a amazing thing that we love, just to do anything about handmade paper.
Wow, it's really impressive story. Each story and each experiences Chichi and your family do is trying to improve together, because the artist giving you different examples and you can give in different ideas for them. So listen to each different kind of beautiful story. It really shows that how deeply GoangXing connects with the people who uses paper, and both of you and the artist are trying to improve together. But I would like to ask a little question is, how does this collaboration made it success? Because I think did they know about the GoangXing Paper Mill and trying to find you, or Chichi trying to reach out to everyone, to the public?
So I would say this is a really interesting question that we have been trying to know during the past 20 years.
Open it to public.
Yeah.
Reach out.
So in the beginning, of course, my papa wrote letter to some artists, but during this 25 years, 30 years, the paper mill didn't do marketing at all.
Yes.
Now I do marketing, but my papa didn't do marketing at all. And I would say people know the paper mill through the words of mouth.
Oh.
So some artists will share their feedback
One by one.
Yeah, one by one, and sometimes especially for teacher and student, like a pen artist in university teaching the young generation artists, and sometimes young generation will ask like, what kind of paper is this? I didn't see this paper before.
Yes.
And the artist will say, yeah, you just try to find GoangXing Paper Mill. And we didn't have our website. Sorry for that. We didn't really show all the variety of our paper. We will, but now we're still trying to make it happen. But yeah, sometimes they will just call and say, yeah, I would like to, and our student, I would like to find some paper for our meet. And my papa will just send some paper to them, or they will find their time, make their time to visit the paper mill in person and just try to use different kind of paper. I think this slowly, really slowly. That's why the entire development of refined paper in GoangXing Paper Mill takes over 20 years.
Oh.
Yeah, because making one kind of paper takes at least 1 week.
Yes.
The basic,
You've told
the
before.
most basic paper to healthier, to even 3 years, as mentioned before.
The Hong Kong one.
So yeah, we you couldn't we couldn't do the mass production, and also we didn't want to do the mass production either. We would like to just focus one, fulfill all the requirement, and then move to the next. And so there are some pros and cons, but I really appreciate this dedication to the paper quality and to the paper research in the paper mill.
I believe your father is trying to take each step, release it steadily, and trying to improve a little bit better, take it step by step. So I think this connection is just in Taiwan local, but I would like to add a question for people who are listening. Maybe they're artists, designer, or just curious about handmade paper. What's the best way to reach out GoangXing if they want to learn more, get in touch, or even start a collaboration like you said before?
So yeah, nowadays, I would say Instagram will be the most efficient way to reach me, or also to reach the paper mill.
Because you run the account, right?
Yeah, I run the account. And the account is GoangXing.
Yes.
XING.
Yes.
PAPER.
Paper.
Yeah,
Paper,
and mill.
paper mill.
MILL. So,
GoangXing Paper Mill. I will put it down in the information column that everyone can know that about.
Yeah, thank you, because we have really diverse collections of paper. And each kind of paper have different color, different ribbing, different thickness, and different fiber structure formula. And this result in like many different ink spread effect, and also has paper have their own personality, I would say. So yeah, and this is why we didn't do mass marketing, because we would like to really know what the artist is looking for, and we recommend paper for them. And also, I think this we love people to reach out to us, because we will know your need and we will try our best to solve them.
Yes.
And we'll say this is a win-win, because the artists have their need fulfilled, and for us, it's like a ongoing accumulations of deeper understanding skill of the paper making. So yeah, I would say Instagram nowadays is the easiest way.
Effective way.
Yeah. If you really don't have Instagram, you can also write us an email. So we still use the old-fashioned way, but yeah, you
Yes.
can also write us an email. And Sunny, could you put our email
Okay, I will.
on the caption? So yeah,
As much as information I can put that down there.
yeah.
So I would like to give a last feedback. I can really feel that each sheet of paper has a story and a purpose. And it made me realize that I think this kind of variety doesn't happen overnight, just like take years of experimentation, creativity, and deep understanding of both materials and the people who use them. I think seeing all those people and paper up close helped me understand how much energy GoangXing has invested in innovation while staying true to its roots in craftsmanship. So last question for Chichi. Are there any upcoming projects or plan you would like to share to our audience?
So yeah, I would say the paper for ink painting, traditional like Eastern style ink painting.
Yes.
So calligraphy is our root. That the root that we will keep refining, improve, and also to accumulate more skill to make those really refined paper. Because I would say this is the core,
Yes.
making more creative, like innovative paper happened. But at the same time, we would like to expand the concept and also the idea about the Asian style paper making into more contemporary and also more creative art creations. So this is why we are really open to people to reach out to us.
Yes.
Because we would love to see the paper making skill is used in more and more creative way. And so, for example, many years ago, we make lantern paper.
Yes.
That's lantern, recycled from a village in Taipei. And in Taiwan, you can write. It's a big lantern.
Yes.
You can write all your wishes on the lantern. You can fly the lantern because of a lot of environmental issue. So the new Taipei city government collect those lanterns and then to us, and we turn it into paper. And it was many years ago. It was an ongoing project, but until 2 years ago, the paper was used by an artist and turned into a beautiful dress. Wow. And was showcased in Berlin. And we really love to see the paper is used in this more like unconventional ways, and also not just paper itself, the paper making skill.
Yes.
We would like to see uh more artists, more designer blend this paper making, traditional paper making skill with more unconventional uses, unconventional materials to turn those traditional craftsmen into a more contemporary ideas. So yeah.
Thank you so much, Gigi, for sharing all of this with us today. From a heart behind each sheet of paper and every craftsmanship to the future you're building. It's really inspiring to learn about the paper mill's journey. And thank you to everyone listening. We hope this conversation gave you a deeper look into the world of handmade paper and the incredible people behind GoangXing Paper Mill. So any thought of message Gigi would like to leave to everyone?
Yeah, just if you have the chance, come to visit the paper mill. But if you live somewhere really far away from the paper mill, please still reach out to us. We are really love to do anything for you, as long as it's about handmade paper.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I do agree with that. Puli is really beautiful and there is a lot of tourist attraction besides Taiwan. Thank you so much and thanks again to everyone for tuning in. We'll see you. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.